Hello. Welcome to the Platinum Podcast. No, this is this is FAP, aka Farruski's anime podcast. As you can see, I am joined by two special people. On my left is PlatinumBro, aka Lewis.
Hello.
Below is Steve, aka Vaultboy Steve.
That's me.
PlatinumBro, you obviously know from a lot of like memes. We do the Platinum Podcast together. Steve, you may not know, but you will, because we're doing this series all together. So, Lewis, would you like to maybe like reintroduce yourself to a lot of people?
Why, hello, beautiful viewer. I am Lewis, also known as PlatinumBro. I have a small, humble YouTube channel about gaming and about PlayStation, about trophies and all that good stuff.
Steve?
Roughly the same. I'm a gamer on YouTube and I produce gaming videos around PlayStation. I try and keep it as artsy as possible because I'm a perfectionist, but what can you say? That's the curse of a creator.
These
sarcastic as possible.
These two are highly underrated creators, so you guys should definitely check them out. I'll leave the links down below in the description. Definitely go check them out. Give them a sub if you haven't already. Now, a few weeks ago, I posted a video that was called We Need to Talk About Naruto, and it was basically a series that I watched, an anime, and then I tried, giving my thoughts and ideas about it. It was a good sort of concept, but wouldn't it be better to do it with other people? Yes, is the answer to that, which is why we have these two beautiful people with us today. So, this series is pretty much a remaster of that episode. So that episode is probably going to be episode 0. Got like the foundations and stuff, and now we're just going to flourish with it, and we're just going to make it special, even more special than what it was. So I was going to explain a little bit about Naruto, but you guys probably know a lot from that video. If you haven't watched that video, then go and check it out, and you'll know more or less what Naruto is about. Essentially, this podcast is going to be, we will watch anime, and then we'll give our thoughts about it. More or less like the first video. Obviously, we'll have more of an insight with 3 different people with 3 different opinions. Vaultboy Steve and PlatinumBro, they are not as addicted to anime as I am, but I'm trying to sort of like push them in that direction. So, guys, what is your experience with anime so far?
Well, this is really funny, Joel, because actually the reason why I watch anime is actually mainly because of yourself. And I've always been like a passive consumer of anime. Like, I think a lot of people who grew up around the 2000s love Dragon Ball Z. And I think that's pretty much that, in like Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! That was sort of the extent of my anime experiences for a long time. And I'm definitely not versed in anime at all. Like, I'm definitely a rookie, a novice in terms of like anime. But I think over the past year of knowing you really has really pushed me more into it. And I have just fallen in love with it pretty much. And I want to talk about it, hence the reasons why we're here today.
I regret nothing at all. What about you, Steve?
I'm roughly the same as PlatinumBro. I started off at childhood. You watch the usual. You watch your Pokemon. You watch your Dragon Ball Z. More than anything else, I prefer Dragon Ball over Z. It's just, I prefer it. I feel like I get more story. It's more intimate. That's what I started with, so I like it. But yeah, other ones I've watched, Afro Samurai is one. But other than that, there's very little anime I've watched. I'm not really a deep anime watcher, again, until you have blessed us with Naruto. Hey. And now it's up there with Dragon Ball for me. So far, it's my favorite anime alongside Dragon Ball.
Yeah, I'm happy. I think Naruto is intimidating to a lot of people because of how long it is. It's a hell of a commitment. Like 500 episodes if Shippuden, and then like 200 odd episodes with the first one. Like all in all, it's like a 700 episode anime, which is, it's quite crazy when you think about it. Like even with it being like 20 minutes per episode, it's still a lot of hours to invest in just the one anime. But I mean, all in all, speaking of, what were your first impressions before jumping into Naruto, sorry?
That's a good question. I don't know how Steve will think, but because I knew, for example, Naruto's so old now, like we're talking 2002, and because it's kind of looked at as a kid's anime, I kind of thought it was going to be very basic, lack any in-depth storytelling, and have basic characters. Now, I'm not saying that's what I think now, but that's what I thought going into it.
That's fair. What about you, Steve?
Yeah. I'm, again, roughly the same. I kind of lodged it against like Avatar: The Last Airbender. I thought that and Naruto was more like kids programs. I didn't really see them as the same depth of storytelling. And then when I've watched it now, well, it's a totally different story, and I appreciate the depth it's already got. And as we talk about later, it gets the emotions going.
Yeah,
So,
I agree. I was exactly the same, to be fair. I joined like the Naruto train like super late, and I put it off for ages. I was working with this guy, and he was always saying, "Oh, you need to watch it." But I was in like the Dragon Ball days. All I wanted to see was like powered up dudes just beating each other up to a pulp. And when you see like the Naruto trailer, you see like a kid, you know, being in a school and trying to be a ninja. And you don't really think it's going to be like the same level. And so, what do you think of Naruto now that you've watched? Was it up to episode 67?
Yes.
Which is more or less halfway through the canon of the original.
Yeah. So we agreed to episode 67, bang on, pretty much in the middle of the canon.
Yeah.
I mean, well, me and Steve are probably gonna have similar opinions again. I think it's pretty darn awesome. I think it is basic. You know, it is definitely kid. I feel like it is a kids show, but it's definitely got adult themes in it, if that makes sense. And I think it's well wrote, well written. It appeals to loads of different people, and I think what anime does, as someone who is new coming into anime, I feel like they do the good versus evil really well, and I think they keep like nobility in it, and I think they keep everything so concise, but it's just everything that is so hard hitting as well. And I think there's been some great story arcs, which I'm sure we can dig into in a moment, and I think it's pretty brilliant.
Yeah.
Now, you say that it's more childlike and stuff, but honestly, so far, I've seen quite a bit, which will, you know, maybe it's a Japanese culture, but we've seen a lot so far that kind of tends the opposite way with the, you know, it's one of my favorite jutsus I can't mention right now. And of course, other ones like other characters like Jiraiya, the pervy sage.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then you think as well, is it because of the time it was made and it was more acceptable to maybe be a bit more on the edge? Because some of the stuff they say, like, you know, there is some stuff that's inappropriate, you would say, for kids. And there's a lot of death and a lot of blood. Well, not loads of blood, but there's a fair bit of blood. And if we compare, like, this is a kind of a weird comparison, but just bear with me. When we could think of like the 90s Spider-Man TV show, so like I'm a Spider-Man kid, okay? So this is not anime, but it's a kids cartoon show. And as a kids cartoon show in the 90s, they weren't allowed to say the word death, so they mentioned it once in the entire series. And so when you think of that, which was aired in like 1995 maybe, to Naruto, which came out in 2001, Naruto mentions killing people and dying to a different level.
Yeah.
So I suppose maybe you are right, Steve, in the fact that maybe I feel like it is a kid's show, but then is it?
I think it comes down to like different cultures, you know, because you see the cartoons in the West. I think it's a bit different nowadays. I think nowadays, like even the age ratings, they give a lot of leeway now than when I was a kid, for example. Like a lot of 18 movies back then are like, you know, 12s or even 15s here now. So they give a lot of leeway. But I think even with like anime, it's just a completely different culture. Because like even we grew up with Dragon Ball, and Dragon Ball, again, death, a lot of blood. You know, you got on the first few episodes of Z, you see like a special beam cannon go through like 2 characters and just obliterate them. They die. And then, you know, the whole Saiyan arc is basically a bloodbath. You see one guy lose his arm. You see another one get blown up. You see another one blow himself up. You know, it's I think it's just Japanese anime compared to like the Western cartoons. It's just a complete different level.
It's also the depth to go as well. Like again, the cartoons we watched in the 90s, they were right. Even Pokemon were really simple, right? There wasn't much depth to any story.
Yeah.
Wow, there's a lot of philosophical stories literally in Naruto in the first 6-7 episodes. It goes through a lot of depth that I don't think children would understand back then, at least when it was made. So it's hard to say it was purely made for children. It feels like it's been made for maybe teenagers. I don't know, maybe a slightly older audience who could comprehend that, as well as like you said, the violence and the sexual in it.
So I was going to say, sometimes it's like they put those stuff in though, so like they can air on a kids show and it goes over kids' heads, but then adults can enjoy it as well. I think what you said before, Joel, about like sometimes kids shows getting like 18 ratings coming down, that actually might be the case. But I actually would say that if you watch like a kids show today, that, like, for example, I've watched some like the Spider-Man, the Marvel stuff. It's actually really PC and PG. That, like, the violence and stuff, it's non-existent pretty much. You think that you're watching like a superhero TV show and there's like no violence in it at all. And like compared to Dragon Ball Z, which is like literally we grew up on that.
Yeah.
And like, you know, you had Frieza like blowing people's heads off and stuff.
Exactly.
Like, actually, I would say that maybe the 18 ratings have become a lot like less. Or they're getting away with a lot more with the ratings, but actually for the stuff kids are watching now, I'd probably say actually they barely watch anything, which is why I found the action in Naruto so refreshing. Because even though it came out in 2001 and it was clearly limited by its animation ability from the time, it still delivers some like really quality combat sequences.
I agree. Speaking of quality, favorite characters, you guys got any yet, or not really? Or have you got more than one?
I've got a few, but all right, I'll go first then. Now, I'm a big Master Roshi fan, right?
Okay,
so, obviously, this means that the Toad Sage, the pervy sage, Jiraiya. As soon as I saw him and his old pervy antics, his nosebleeds, that instantly kind of got me right there. He was like, right, this guy's at the top of my list. But if we're talking about more established characters, I'd say Kakashi, because he's got a kind of cool magnetism around him. He's always relaxed. He's always got his hands in his pockets. He's just sat back, but he's so powerful, so knowledgeable, and he's not arrogant about it. So I'd say from the top of the bunch, those are the two I only really connect with, that I really love. Naruto maybe in the third spot. He's annoying at times, but he's got a never give up attitude, and that's what I really appreciate about him. He's always striving to be better.
They're good characters, to be fair. I think Kakashi is a lot of people's first choice, and I think it's probably his unique trait. Well, unique when you first see it. I think it makes him like a total badass. And to be fair, out of like the first few episodes, he's probably the most OP character you see. Yeah. I think he's probably a lot of, and just as like he says, his personality as well. He's very humble, and he's very like he's a kind soul. So even though he's like he's an absolute machine on the battlefield, he still cares for his teammates, and he's still, you know, he'd give his life to save his teammates, and you can see that. What about you, Lewis?
I've got so many. Honestly, I've got like 6 or 7. So I'll just say start with Kakashi was my favorite initially for the first 30 episodes. You know, like there's a big arc in the first 20, 30 episodes when it's literally just Naruto, Sasuke, Sakura, and Kakashi. So like the 3 youngster ninjas with Kakashi as they like go through like a mission and stuff. And I think during that time when he's the only character, he was my favorite. But I think later on, you get reduced to pretty much loads of characters, tens of characters, and I've actually got some superficial reasons and some for more in-depth reasons. So this is like a pairing, and my favorite these ones are Kiba and Akamaru. Okay. So Akamaru is the dog that can sense chakra. I think obviously I love dogs, and I just thought he was such a cool character to have in the game. Like, he gets like in the TV series, he gets tense when he can like sense like enemies' chakra levels. So they're kind of like in terms of Dragon Ball Z, it's like power levels. Yeah. So instead of like having like a Dragon Ball Z scouter, like he's like the warning sign. So when he starts getting nervous, stuff's about to go down because he can sense the chakra, and I love that. And I like Kiba because Kiba actually reminds me kind of Yamcha from Dragon Ball Z. Like, he's never really going to be a really good character. But he's kind of like, he looks after his friends and he kind of wants people to be okay. And I like that about him. It just seems like he's going to be like a sort of like a moot character. I don't know. Obviously, I don't know. I'm only 60, 70 episodes in, but I think him and Akamaru are a very likable pair.
Yeah, they are.
Were you expecting me to say that or not?
I kind of did.
I kind of did
because I know like you love dogs so much. So I was like, this is going to be one of them.
I was probably expecting Akamaru, but not Kiba.
I just feel like even when he fought like Naruto and later on, like I just thought he did well then, and it's crazy. I think in Naruto already we're seeing that there's some characters that are already so powerful compared to others that it's kind of like it's not even fair. Like if to say 40 to 50 episodes, 30, 40 episodes in, the characters face off against each other in like a tournament style, and we really get to see some incredibly powerful characters. But it also makes you wonder, like if the pairings were in any other different order, certain characters would be wiping the floor with other characters because they end up facing harder enemies. It seems a bit like it just feels like there's a big separation already in like Naruto being up there, which I didn't think he would be. Yeah. But anyway, I've got two more mentioned.
Okay.
Special mountain mention to Rock Lee. He just seems like he's the traditional good guy.
Yeah.
I like him for it. He's limited by not being able to use is it ninjutsu?
Ninjutsu, yeah.
And they can't use
Genjutsu as well, isn't it?
Yeah. And even still, I feel like he's a character, for example, what I just said in the tournament, where if he'd gone against anybody else, he might have beat them. But he just happened to go against probably like one of the most fierce enemies in the tournament.
He still did so well though. That's probably that's probably one of the best fights in my opinion so far.
He broke through his defense, man. What can you say?
Yeah.
Just knowing his one style, he broke through that defense.
And the
shocked everyone.
The taking the weights off scene, did that not remind you of Goku from Dragon Ball?
Yeah.
Every time it's about to get serious, it's just like weight your clothes. Or I've been holding back all this time. Like
exactly. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. Okay, I've got two more I'll mention then. So next is Shikamaru.
Shikamaru's a good
Shikamaru is the man bun.
Yeah.
Wearing teenager who can never be bothered. He has got a really bad ninjutsu. His power is shadow jutsu, where he can like possess people with his shadow.
Yeah.
Is it called shadow possession?
Shadow possession jutsu, yeah.
It seems like a really weak jutsu, and this might be a good opportunity to ask this. So, as Joel, who is a master of Naruto, are these ninjutsu? Are these inherited by the clans? And is that how they choose who has what? So Naruto, for example, couldn't learn the ninja possession. The shadow possession jutsu, or could he?
No. So some jutsu you can learn. Others they're called Gekkei Genkai, which is it's like traits from that clan and that clan only. So for example, the Sharingan is only the Uchihas.
Yeah.
The Byakugan's only for the Hyugas. The shadow possession is only for the Nara, which is Shikamaru's clan. So later on, you can sort of see like a character getting like a stupid amount of different jutsu, but it's not in a natural way. So you have to do like some forbidden things in order to get there. But essentially, there are jutsu that is unique to certain clans.
What about the Sharingan? Can the Sharingan only copy a specific jutsu, or can it copy even these ones that have been passed down through generations?
Not Gekkei Genkai. So they can copy most. They can copy a lot of jutsu, but only like the elemental ones. So like fire jutsu, water jutsu, electric, stone,
earth,
yeah, and wind. They can copy those. Anything that is outside of those elements. So for example, the shadow possession. I'm not going to say anymore because I don't want to spoil anymore. But anything with that sort of jutsu. Anything around those lines, it won't be able to copy now.
I feel like he's got one of the weaker jutsus of the group that you see in the show. But he's like, just to say that he's a tactician, so he's like he's really, really clever.
Yeah.
He's really, really intelligent. So he's probably the most intelligent teenager that you see in terms of like battle tactics, and because of that, and a lot of the mentors. So there's a lot of in this show, if you haven't watched it, there's a lot of like young characters and there's a lot of mentors. So the mentors they'll say in passing about how certain characters are so rash, and like Naruto being one of them. Like he's so emotional all the time that he couldn't lead a team. Whereas I say like, well, Shikamaru is so level-headed and so intelligent that he could. And I like that about him. It makes him quite an in-depth character. And you say that when you see him fight, how well he does against. He's outclassed pretty much. You know that when he goes into a fight, he's going to be outclassed in every single fight he goes in. And he still manages to do incredibly well, if not win. And that makes you think, like, the little guy, like this, it's not just about your jiu-jitsu, it's about more than that. It's not just about your raw power, it's about your intelligence and skill and all this good stuff. So I think that's what he represents.
Yeah.
He's lazy, but he's a master strategist, and that's what matters.
That's another thing as well.
He's leader. He's got over 200 IQ. He's the leader.
Yeah.
That's his role he's made for. And then you send the grunts in like Naruto and Sasuke to do the actual fight.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And as well on that as well, you're right. He's lazy as well. It's another thing. He's like he can't be bothered to do anything. It's like
everything's a drag.
He just wants to be like the clouds and the birds, man. He just wants to drift and have the freedom.
Exactly. He's a hippie at heart.
He became a ninja to do whatever the hell he wanted. He wanted that freedom, and now he's got all this responsibility. He's like, God damn it.
It's a double-edged sword.
The worst choice.
Okay, one more character, I think, because I think this is a good opportunity just to flesh out so many characters.
Yeah, dude.
I think this one might be surprising, and that is Neji. So, Neji is, from the Hyuga clan.
Yeah.
And I think the reason why I like him is because he's from the branch family, and it's the idea that in his clan there's there's like an upper class members and there's a lower class, and the lower class's opportunity is to their like purpose is to protect the elite class, and it's a good. I think everyone resonates with things differently because it's like how you experience things going on. And I think that's sort of the social class divide thing. I think it's really interesting, and it's a fact as well with Neji. Not only is he's in the branch family because he is a son of the twin of who's in charge of the clan, and if his dad was born 3 seconds sooner, he would be in the upper family. And the fact that he's actually in the branch family is so much neglect for it, because rightly so, because it's social class, like class separation. I don't agree with, and I think he has to burden with. And not only that, he's incredibly powerful, and he's learned things in his clan that he shouldn't have learned because he's so powerful, but he's held back, like in class alone. And I think he has a lot of discussions with Naruto when he faces them about like this ongoing. I think he gets a lot of screen time for someone who's not like one part of the main three, because he has like 2 big fights, and he talks about this a lot. And it's like he's so conflicted, and he like is clearly a good person at heart, but he's like being given a really bad hand. And I think for that, I think he's just a quite in-depth character.
I can agree. I don't really like Neji at this point. It's just not. I can understand where he comes from, and everything you said is 100% true. Like he should be the upper class with his talent alone. Like he is, leagues above Hinata, and you see that in the tournament because he wipes the floor with ease. But then instead of like Naruto's similar to him, like Naruto's been shunned by the world, and Naruto's been put aside, and nobody likes him, nobody hangs out with him. And the thing is, he took on, his mindset was, I'm going to be somebody good so that people look up to me, whilst Neji's mindset is, I'm going to be better than everybody else. So he's kind of like shitting on everybody else.
Yeah.
Just because he's been given a bad hand. So he's he could be close to Hinata, and she wants that, but instead he chooses to humiliate her. It's not her fault that she got chosen into that society either. It wasn't really her choice. She shouldn't be the one to get punished for it, but yet he takes it out on her. That's the only sort of thing that kind of annoys me about him. But I can understand
he's
why
always
he
talking
does.
about destiny as well. He's always on about destiny.
Yeah.
That's what really made me dislike him. He's like, this is, you can't change your destiny. You're born who you are. You can't. He's been indoctrinated essentially, so you can't really blame him too much for it. But just going on and on about it, saying, no matter how powerful you are, you can't change. You're not gonna become Hokage. You can't do anything. It's like, dude, shut up.
But I think again though, I don't know how it's gonna progress. I don't know if they'll stick with him that much. I mean, Joel, obviously but I feel like as we've left it, he's cried on about destiny for episodes and episodes, and in the end, he's actually found out that his destiny kind of has changed. Because bear in mind, yes, Naruto was shunned, but Neji also had his father he believed his father was executed wrongly by the elites. So he believes that. So not only does he have resentment, he also has hatred, whereas Naruto maybe doesn't have it. So you can kind of see why he kind of is a bit more sour about it. But then in the end, he finds out that that his father didn't die of his own choice, or he did of his own choice. Sorry, and it wasn't like a ruse.
Yeah.
Ruse. In fact, he gave his life, and it changes. I mean, yeah.
I think there might still be some resentment there, because the way his father sacrificed his life, he didn't do it just to save. He wanted to do it to save his brother rather than the clan, because again, he was in the position he was in. So he's like, I want to disobey the branch's order. I don't want to stick to this hierarchy, and I'm going to save your life because you're my brother, not because of the duty bestowed upon me. And I think so. Maybe, who knows? Again, we don't know.
That's another really interesting thing.
It's also when he dies as well, and he says, finally I'm free, because when he dies, the seal, it disappears. So it's another thing. Like he kind of felt relief at the same time, because he's not. Well, essentially they're bound. Like what they call the slave branch, they're bound to that family, and they can't deny it. They've always got that mark.
To be fair, yeah.
But this is what I love about Naruto, and this is like compared to anime like Dragon Ball. I'm not saying Dragon Ball is a bad anime, because it's not. I love Dragon Ball, but Naruto, it hits a lot of real world problems.
Yeah.
And because all these themes you see in Naruto, like being shunned and having a destiny, or being enslaved and having to do something you don't want to do, these are all things that happen in the real world.
Yeah.
and it all kind of touches on it. And I think it's what resonates with people a lot more. And this is why I want so many people to watch Naruto. Like people who haven't watched it yet, and they're just like, oh, you know, it's too many episodes. It's worth it. Like just don't even watch the fillers. There's a lot of fillers, but if you just want to watch the canon, I recommend you watch the fillers anyway, because you know, watch an anime as a whole. But if you don't want to go throughout the whole, you know, torment of all those fillers, just watch the canon, just for the main story, just to take it in and to enjoy it. Because I can guarantee, like after episode 20 or even episode 10, if you don't like it, then it's probably not for you. But more than guarantee you probably will like it.
I mean, I know we're not comparing this to Dragon Ball Z, but I feel like I'm going to anyway.
Well, it's only fair though, because it's two anime that you've watched and it's two anime that you've enjoyed.
Dragon Ball's simple. This is more philosophical. This has always got something to teach you. Dragon Ball doesn't really have that. It's just power and fighting, which is fine. It's action, but it's different.
It taught me the more I screamed, the stronger I was. I did it in school. It didn't work.
It was a lie.
And that's why you were in the weird class.
Yeah.
I think with Dragon Ball Z, I mean, I haven't watched it in a long time, so I don't want to say this is definitely what happens, but my memory of Dragon Ball Z is kind of like you're always waiting for the fight in the short term. In the long term, you're waiting for Goku to turn up. Yeah. That is ultimately the crack. And it's kind of like, okay, you're facing an enemy, they're going to do small talk about, about some philosophy about, you know, loss and death. And they are going to talk about it a little bit. But then it's like you're waiting for the fight, whereas I feel like Naruto, it's not like that at all. It's more complex. There's more going on. There's more, and it's not just it's not just waiting for Goku to turn up to beat the final villain. Like, I'm 67 episodes in, and there hasn't really been a standout character who's like been the most powerful yet. I don't think. It's building up.
I'd say one.
Who?
You know, the ultimate bad guy, the one I can never pronounce, Orochimaru.
Orochimaru.
I pronounced it right for once. There you go.
I haven't seen him yet though.
He's okay. So like, I'll have to admit, like, and up to the point that you're on, he's definitely like the most OP character, but he's cheated. I'm just gonna say that.
Isn't he the same level as the Toad Sage though? Aren't they like all? Isn't there like 4 elder ninjas?
The three
Orochimaru as well.
The 3 Sanin.
Yeah, he's one. Isn't the Toad one as well?
Yeah. So there's Orochimaru, Jiraiya, and then I'm not sure if the other one's even been mentioned. So I don't really want to spoil it for you. But it's the 3 Sanin. So basically, it was a squad.
Hokage, it was called.
Who?
The guy who's. I just said
Hokage. No, it's not the Hokage, is it?
No, it's not the Hokage. No.
Oh, okay.
No. I don't want to spoil any more though, because the Kage has a big role within the 3 Sanin.
The 4th Hokage on the Mount Olympus, what do you want to call it, the Mount Rushmore, looks suspiciously like Naruto, I have to admit. So I'm already guessing what's going to go down that way.
That's fair. All right. So speaking of Orochimaru, because a lot of people do hate him at this point, I hated Orochimaru at this point. He's a very hateable character at this point. Do you guys have any characters that you hate so far?
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Same. 2 stand out, but I would like to say quickly, I don't hate Orochimaru yet. He just seems, which may be a critique of another character, later on, is he seems very one-dimensional. And I hate one-dimensional villains who just after being evil and ruling the world. I just don't like it. I think it's too simple.
That's fair.
And that's why sometimes I think Naruto is a kid's show, because it does simple stuff like that. But Steve, you can start with the characters you hate first.
Right, there's 2 standouts, and one of them is Gaara.
Okay.
Right, the reason why, again, it's very complicated. Some of these characters we see early on, we actually hate them, and then we turn out to actually like them because they're given more story depth later on. But so far, I've not had that with Gaara. He's more. I feel like he's not really earned his power, because all of his power is in his. He's in his. What the hell do they call him now? It's not an
sack.
His gourd.
Gorge. That's it. A gourd. That's it. In his gourd, it's like all his powers and his sand. He's got no training essentially. Like it protects him constantly. He doesn't even have to provide any effort. It's just there. It's a permanent shield. And of course, you know, eventually when he gets hit, it's such a shock to him because he's not used to it.
Yeah.
So in my eyes, he hasn't earned his power. Almost like a lot of the Sound Village, they've all got like technological stuff embedded into the bones and stuff. So they can use the sound tubes and all the sound jutsu. And it's like, to me, that feels like cheating. I know as a ninja, you use all your tools available to you, but it's like they're not using their own real body as power. So that's the reason why I don't like him so far. He just comes across as
none of the Sound Village were actually any good in the end, were they? Let's be real, they all sort of dropped off.
Yeah.
No, he was one of mine. I only had 2, and one of them was Gaara. I never thought of that, but that makes sense. I agree. That's probably one of the reasons why I actually don't like him, is because he was just gifted it. Yeah, no, and yeah, he just gives him this power. He's probably had no training, and yeah, and I also think as well, he's just incredibly, again, the same as Orochimaru, but Gaara in fact is incredibly one-dimensional. He's pretty much saying, I only want to be around to kill people, and that's like the worst ever thing. And he's like got this bloodlust which makes him want to kill people, and he's clearly a psychopath at this point. Like, there's no debate that all he wants to do is kill people. It's ridiculous. It's weird. And also, kind of the whole thing of like, well, should you have people in tournaments who just want to kill people? Are they going to make good ninjas? I don't know if like other villages would allow that. I don't know. He's clearly a villain, and he just, and he's just not a good character.
That's fair. That's a really good analogy for Gaara, to be fair, at this point. It really is. And I'll have to agree. Yeah, I mean, they don't show a lot of who he is or what he's been through or anything. They just kind of put him there in the tournament, and all he wants to do is kill people. He gets hurt by Lee, and he pretty much tries killing Lee, which I think there and then he should really have been disqualified for that, because he had the intent to kill. Although he didn't, he broke his arm and his leg, or like shattered his arm and his leg. He still had the intent. So, but again, plot. I think that's what it comes down to.
I think the anime does work to flesh out how Gaara came to be, and you can see why he's a monster, because his father kept trying to kill him, and he was made to be a weapon, and all the stuff. Like he's had a really weird and painful upbringing, which is pretty much just made him to be an evil weapon. He's not a man. He's just a monster, pretty much. Like, I'm not saying he couldn't be redeemed, which he might get redeemed, which would be a really weird twist, but he could be. So
that's fair. What about the other character?
Okay, this is no, go on, Steve.
I'm interested to see if you guys have chose the same one again.
Okay, so this one I don't like quite a lot, and that is Sasuke.
This podcast is over right now.
Wow, that's it. I can tell.
I think, okay, he is, you know what, right? Yeah, he's got this background, this story about his brother and stuff, but let's be real, every single one of those ninja characters has a story. They all have reasons for being there, and Sasuke is an arrogant prick. Let's be honest, that's what he is. He's so arrogant, and he's also really cowardly. Like, he leaves Naruto to fight for himself because he's scared. He does it numerous occasions as well. He does it in the first 20 episodes. He does it later on, and I think, for being this really powerful ninja, which I know he's going to be because he's one of the main characters, I know he's a kid, and I sometimes think he makes really bad decisions because he's a child. They're like 12, but I also think as well, for being as good as he thinks he is, and for being as good as the writers want him to be, I think he's just not a great character. And I think as well, I have something else as well. No, that's pretty much it. Actually, that's really it. Any sort of banishes rage.
I think he had like a massive paragraph just like going to town on Sasuke. Yeah. Right, this is. that's fair. In his defense, I can see like he's the last of his clan. So like he's the last member of his clan, and I think the fear his brother put into him impacts him a lot in a lot of the times. So he's got that that trauma that if he feels.
Is Kakashi not in his clan?
Sorry,
because is Kakashi not in his clan because they both have the Sharingan?
No.
That smirk.
No, so he's not. Kakashi's not an Uchiha, which is why he's only got one Sharingan.
Oh, right, okay.
So you'll find out later on how he gets it. There's a lot of like twists and like rumors that go around of like how he gets it and what people think that how he got it, but like the real reason why he got it you won't learn until like later, like in Shippuden you'll learn where he gets his Sharingan from. So you got a long way to go. But no, he's not an Uchiha. So essentially Sasuke is the last Uchiha, well, and his brother, but his brother's obviously like he's the one that slaughtered the clan. He's the last one of his clan. He wants revenge on his brother, and I think every time he gets to like a difficult situation, he feels helpless, like he did back then, and I think that kind of affects him. But I also do have to agree, they do make him. He should be a lot more powerful than what he is at that point, or being an Uchiha alone. And I think he is too cocky. You think he feels too superior when he's really
that's my
not
issue.
Compared to the others. He's not really, If you put Sasuke against Hyuga, for example, against Neji, I think Neji would probably have the upper hand.
Well, that's another thing. Like, he gets this power boost from Orochimaru, and like it's like if he hadn't had that, like
Curse mark.
Yeah, the curse mark, which boosts his power levels somehow or some way or whatever. Because he's like, and I kind of thought, why did Orochimaru only give it to Sakura? Sakura, that would be interesting.
I would be interested, actually. Yeah.
But then I think it's
It'd
because
make it useful for once, though.
Well, I think Naruto maybe was too pure of heart to take it. So when he had when Orochimaru was because he had both of them knocked out, he chose to only give it to Sasuke. I think maybe that's because he thought Sasuke would be more easy to manipulate, whereas Naruto's just too pure, so he couldn't. And at a while I was like, why has he just done it to him? Is it just a plot armor? Which it probably is. But yeah, without that, I generally don't think he would have beat. I think there's 8 of them. I think he's bang in the middle for ability. And he spends most of his time getting his ass kicked. That's pretty much what so far he hasn't won a fight without Naruto. So it's like one fight against some basically unnamed ninja.
The one who breaks his arms.
Yeah. Well, him and then somebody else. But again, it was like, so again, we get opponents.
I'll just say that there's a specific reason why Orochimaru chose Sasuke and didn't choose Naruto. There is and it does make sense why he did. You'll find out later on again. But it's not just plot armor that why he chose Sasuke. There's a specific reason why.
Okay.
There's like a much deeper meaning for it.
I mean, I know he'll get better. I know he's one of the main characters, one of the most liked characters. So I know there's 600 episodes left. I know he's going to get his screen time to be developed into one of the most likable characters. But at the moment, that's just how I feel about him.
I'll be honest with you. Like Sasuke at this point, Sasuke's my favorite character as a whole in Naruto, but not at this point. At this point, I completely agree with you. He's not nowhere near what he should be, really.
What are your thoughts on that, Steve?
It's not my second hated character, if I'm being honest. I'm kind of indifferent with him, just like you at this point, because of his arrogance. He thinks he's better than everyone else. He's always calling Naruto a loser and all this kind of stuff, thinking he's superior. It's like, it almost seems like he's like a kid version of Kakashi. Like, they're trying to because he's laid back, he's quiet, he's cool. But unlike Kakashi, he's got the arrogance. He thinks he's got power, what he has not got yet. So he thinks he's above people and he's not. And that's why I really don't like him, but it's just below the level of hatred. So I don't hate him yet. Like, I can see him blossoming in the future to be a really good character. But the second character I disliked is a petty one, really, that I really just hated. Don't know if Joel might already know it from the anime night. It's Ino.
Oh, Ino. Okay.
Yep.
I can agree.
Because she's, constantly, like, she built up Sakura when they were younger and stuff, and she helped her blossom into her own little flower. But now she's constantly fighting with her for Sasuke. But the main problem was when they're in the jungle and they're fighting in the forest, and she's just sat there watching Sakura getting pounded on. Like, I don't know how many punches it was. It was like 20, 50. It was going constantly, and she was just sat there watching, like, going through the flashbacks. It's like that made me hate her right there more than anything else. Like, it was like an instant petty hatred. I don't care what she does now. I just don't like her because of that. It's like, that's just, she was your best friend, and look at you, you're letting that happen to her.
Well, yeah,
it's like,
no.
Come on.
And as well, do you know what, right? They say that they hate each other, and they say that they have this like really childish obsession with Sasuke, but they actually they spend all the time together. Like, once they're both out the tournament, they spend all the time together, like watching people together. It's not like if you hate somebody, you're not going to sit next to them for every single fight. So it's like they are like really still best friends, and
she still let that happen. It's like, wow.
No,
that maybe was all the respect for her. And I was like,
I have to agree. That was a pretty I mean, I can understand if she was a bit hesitant to jump in, but come on, after the 4th or 5th punch, Sakura just getting just destroyed by this sound ninja while still holding on for dear. She looked like a Rottweiler with a bit of bone, just biting down, just getting hammered. And she's just there in the bushes. Yeah, I agree.
She had teammates as well, man.
Yeah.
There's no excuse.
What do we think of Sakura then?
I feel. No, go on, because
I don't know. I thought she was. I did think she was pretty much the most pointless character. And I did a little bit of reading about her. You know, it's the whole thing that she's not from a gifted clan. She doesn't have any jutsu like Sasuke or like any of them, like Shikamaru or Naruto. She's not a gifted ninja. She's just like, she kind of like Rock Lee in a sense, but without the physical prowess.
She's book smart.
She's book smart, but she's not. You know, the TV series is about all these powerful ninjas, but the reality is there's not actually that many ninjas as powerful as those, and it's about putting her in. I think at times she's poorly wrote, and she's just a lot of standing around doing nothing. But I think she's still good. She's still good for her ability.
It's like, because the way that she was written, she was basically constantly obsessing over Sasuke for the entire like first 20, 30 episodes.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
Completely headless chicken, like even in the training, you know, she was just like getting tricked so easily by Kakashi's tricks and stuff. And it's like, this is why you're bad, because you aren't putting your attention into your training. You're putting it into just obsessing over Sasuke, like a teenage girl type would happen. But she did kind of gain some more respect when she was in the forest in the Sakura Blossoms episode. She finally showed a bit of guts there when she was getting pounded on the same situation, and then in the fight with Ino later on. So she did gain some respect, but she's still fairly worthless on my spectrum.
I think it's funny because they put Ino and I mean, to be fair, Ino's got quite a cool jutsu in the mind transfer jutsu. I mean, I think her and Sakura, if they'd fought anybody else, they would have got absolutely destroyed, the pair of them. They both were, without a doubt, the weakest ninjas there, who got carried. Both of them got carried by their teams. But I felt like, I mean, Steve, what you said there, I felt like the first 30 episodes I didn't like her. But I think more characters that were worse appeared, and I think once you kind of get past the fight in the tournament, I did develop more of a respect for it. I didn't like in the jungle how they made a really big, a massive deal, like the ultimate Sakura makes the ultimate sacrifice and cuts her hair. I was like, what on earth? Like how is that so important? Like it just seemed really ridiculous to think that people are almost dead, and she's like making the sacrifice by cutting her hair. It's like, what? It's
because that's what her character's focused on. She's focused on long hair because Sasuke likes long hair. So she's like, this is like her ultimate sacrifice. She's like saying, now I've lost the one thing that he likes, long hair. So it's stupid. But that's how little her character is.
There's only one reason why I hate her so much, and it's because of how badly she treats Naruto. Naruto would literally give his life for her. Because, you know, although he has like more or less the same obsession with her she has with Sasuke.
But he's more into his training though, isn't he? That, yeah, in the early episodes he's a bit obsessed with that, but I feel like they do well to move that on. Because I mean, I'm an adult, sadly to say, that I'm not a big fan of like forced romantic stuff in film and TV shows and stuff. I like more philosophical stuff, more action and stuff, and I think they've done well to sort of not include it too much. But again, Naruto's more obsessed with his training than he is with anything else.
Well, everybody in Team 7, like everybody is like the three main characters, the three kids. 2 out of 3 want to be stronger or a higher purpose. Sakura doesn't. She just wants Sasuke. She'd be happy enough to just sit, on the side. If she was with Sasuke, let him do all the work, let him do all the protecting, let him do all the fighting, and she'd be happy to just be with him. Whilst Sasuke wants to get stronger than his brother to get revenge, Naruto wants to get as strong as a Hokage so he can get recognized or he can get, appreciated by people. So they've both got like a much bigger goal and much bigger drive. While Sakura, she doesn't really have a goal apart from, I want to be with Sasuke. And I think she's a bit too full of herself as well. She had Lee protecting her as well, and again she just stood there and watched. And he was getting
she treats Lee like crap as well.
He was getting mauled by that sound guy with the waves. He should have never gotten to that point.
I think that there's an issue in the Naruto in general, the fact that characters do a lot of stand still and not like someone will jump to their aid. And then they won't help the person who's helping them, because that happens. Like Naruto jumps to Sasuke's aid loads, and vice versa, and then now the other one just doesn't help and just stands there and watches. Sakura, again, you're right. She's always getting protected. She tries to stand for herself. Lee turns up, almost dies. Then she doesn't. She just stands there again. And it's like he's on a 3 versus 1, which he can't win.
Yeah. And
she stood there, which maybe they could turn the tides. And I think that's more a problem with the whole anime though in this stage than just her.
She could have bought Lee some extra time for the other ninjas to arrive, which they did anyway. Maybe they could have
Yeah.
lasted long enough so Lee didn't get his ass kicked that badly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He could have
It's
turned
true.
that entirely different.
If Neji'd rocked up, he would have beat them all three of them.
Oh,
Neji,
for
like,
sure.
you know,
For sure.
like he would have broke a sweat. And Neji's so powerful.
Yeah, he is.
And I can't believe Naruto. I didn't think Naruto was going to beat him. Another thing I'll say is Naruto gets spent. There's a big break in the tournament, and it's about 10 episodes, and Naruto spends his whole time trying to channel his chakra and learn this toad jutsu, which he doesn't use.
The summon jutsu.
So it's like he uses summon jutsu to summon like one of the most powerful toads on the planet, and he doesn't use it in his fight. And it's like,
I think the thing is though, if you remember, he only summoned that toad because of the nine-tailed chakra, which he's not allowed to use. But then again, he does end up using it in the tournament anyway.
But he's got to use all his normal chakra,
But,
his blue
yeah.
chakra, hasn't he? Before he can access the Fox's chakra.
Because if you
So
remember,
eventually-
Or if he's about to die.
he'll summons like a tadpole. If
Yeah.
he uses it normally, then it's,
So-
you know.
but he does get battered by Neji, and that's another thing as
does.
well. Naruto, I think he, as a character, gets absolutely pummeled the most out of every single character. Like in all of the rounds, he lets people beat him up. Like and I know it's probably written.
There's a reason for that though, why he can take so much punishment, and it's because of his clan. He's a
one of his
Uzumaki,
clans, yeah.
which has a massive chakra reserves. So
Yeah,
he can go hours and hours and hours on end, more than
Doesn't mean you should,
any
though.
other ninja. No, it doesn't mean he
Doesn't
should.
mean you
No,
want to.
but
Doesn't
he's
mean,
just
"Oh, I
reckless,
can
isn't
handle
he?
this."
It's just his character, isn't he?
Yeah.
He likes being
Thankfully,
loud. He likes being seen. He likes being acknowledged.
But yeah, he takes a real beating off everybody. Like
Yeah,
you know,
he does.
Neji gives him an absolute next level hammer, and
Yeah.
I know Rock Lee takes a beating with his broken arms and stuff, but I think probably Neji, because Neji's part of his ability is to to block chakra point and also damage internal organs.
Yeah.
So Lee might have had his legs broken, but Naruto's probably had his internal organs completely battered, and he just keeps getting up.
The other thing is though with Naruto is he regenerates. So
Yeah. That's a chakra, right?
So he can take a lot more than everybody else, and maybe it is a little bit plot armor with him having that regenerating ability, but at least it kind of makes sense that people are like, oh, why can he take so much beating? Well, he's instantly regenerating all the time. So even
It's a
if
bit weird. No one's noticed his healing factor at all.
Yeah.
Throughout this entire time.
I think-
That no one's. Besides Kakashi, he's the only one who because they know about it. But no one
yeah,
else has seen it.
exactly. All the kids are just like, "Oh, what is it with this freak?" All right, that's some pretty good points. I agree with all your choices about the hated characters. At this point, I think they're probably written that way as well. By this point as well, I think there's not.
You're talking about Rock Lee so much. I will have to say I should add him to my liked characters list, most liked, because he's got such drive, such
he
determination.
He does.
When you were talking about him, I've just been going through flashbacks of his training,
Yeah.
his determination. And it's just like, oh man, so because he's literally stuck to one style, I think I'm gonna have to add him on there as well because
Fair enough.
Well,
he might look like Clockwork Orange mixed with Country of Old Men, but other than that, he actually is such a respectable character.
Yeah, he's the embodiment of, with hard work, you can sort of go toe to toe with people that are born with talent and born with he's basically fighting. He's in a world that he's handicapped all the time.
Yeah.
And he's always striving to keep up.
Yeah, I think as well, Naruto, there's some standard characters that are the good guys, and I think Naruto obviously is of kind heart and he makes the right decision. But Rock Lee's got that, but he's also got the discipline as well. It's Naruto's rash, he's all over the place, he's emotional, whereas I know obviously everyone in anime is emotional, let's be real, but Rock Lee's got that discipline which he's been trained with by Guy Sensei. He knows he can only use certain things at certain times.
Yeah.
Whereas Naruto just learns the Shadow Clone Jutsu on a whim because he wants to be powerful, whereas Rock Lee would never do that.
Yeah.
He's got discipline to know his place and to know what isn't expected of him. There's pros and cons to both, but I like that about Rock Lee as well, that he's so disciplined.
Good point. That's a very good point, actually. Speaking of emotional, was there any point that got you guys emotional? Either to the point of almost tears or tearing up a little bit? Was there any moments?
Tears were flowing on my end. Were flowing on my end.
What scene was that?
If Lewis wants to start, if you want me to start with that.
I don't have that many. I think all of it's been strong on the emotions, but I don't think there's been any key standout points. I'll have a think while Steve's is free flowing his.
All right, for me, right, we talked about this on the Discord and Anime Night. It was the episode 19 when it was Zabasu.
Yeah.
And Naruto was giving him the quote, like saying, you know, are you just a robot? You've got no feelings. I mean, how can Haku does all this for you and you're not even, you don't care about her/him. And
yeah.
I don't know how, again, I don't know what in canon, what they're specifically going to try and say, which is so, but that really got me right there, that speech. When I watched it on the anime night before I watched it on English.
Yeah. And
it didn't do much for me at all. But when I sat down and heard it in English, it literally, just like Ric Flair, it brought a tear to my eye. Yeah. I was like, wow, my eyes were watering. I was like, that's powerful. That is real. That's why I fell in love with the series right there. It was good up until that point, as well as like Naruto before that, summoning the 9-tailed fox and half transforming. But that point was where I was like, I love this series. That right there has made me love it. And then after that, when Kakashi dragged Zabasu over there and put his arm over Haku, that's when the tears flowed properly. That's when I was like, damn, I'm done. This has killed me. The mock you at the end of the episode as well by Naruto and the kid cry.
Yeah,
it's like, oh wow.
It's not just about the action.
Nope. He's such a good villain. I think, like, if to be introduced so early to such a good character, I agree. It was emotional. I think just going off what you just said there about the dubs and stuff. I think one of the reasons why I don't like Japanese is because I can't link the emotion to the meanings. Yeah. So it takes away the powerfulness of what's being said. And I think the voice acting for Naruto is so good that I think it really drives home. There's some good big names. I mean, is it Yuri Lewithenwall? Can't pronounce his name. Who voices Spider-Man? He voices Sasuke in the English.
Oh, right.
I don't think you knew that. Yeah.
No.
If you listen to it, you'll be able to tell. It's a Yuri Lowenthal or something. I can't remember.
That's why you like it.
He voices Sasuke.
Sasuke talks so little, it's hard to tell. He's so quiet.
But there's some really powerful acting. I think there is some powerful moments. Nothing's really like hit me that much. I think that's why I like Neji so much, is because I think he's got so much trauma that I liked all the stuff about him and his clan. I think that's why he resonated with me so much. I mean, it's full of emotion. It's full of philosophical.
Philosophical philosophy.
Not even going to attempt to say that.
Full of that. Get it out there. Yeah.
No, that's fair.
Retro linguistic ability is good stuff.
It's good to see that like the anime gets different people in different ways. I don't think up to the point you guys are at, I don't think I had. I felt a little bit with the Zabuza situation as well. But I don't think it was one of the sort of tipping points yet to get me like into tears yet.
Did you watch the sub though, right? Originally?
No, I watched Dub up to that point.
Oh wow!
I watched Dub up to like episode 150 in Shippuden.
Wow!
And then because when I was watching, the Dub had run out of episodes to carry on. I had to go to the sub, and then I just got hooked on the sub in the end, and I just carried on now. Now all I see is sub.
That's where a lot of anime purists will call me and Lewis heretics. They'll say, listen, you guys, you should be watching the sub. You should not be watching the dub, man. The dub that's pure heresy. Do not watch that. And it's like, but dude, if I hadn't watched that, I wouldn't have had the emotion and the linkage in episode 19. That would not have hit for me. I don't get the same effect reading the sub versus just listening.
Yeah.
That's
couldn't agree more, Steve. I think I don't like subtitles that much. I think they take away. If you're spending a split second reading something, you're missing something that's being said and done. And yeah, in animation it's not the same, but on a TV show or a movie and stuff, you're missing like key moments and eye changes in facial expressions and stuff. You're missing so much. And I think,
video games.
Yeah, in video games and stuff as well. Like, I actually, I turn off subtitles in video games.
Yeah. I try and do that. I try and do that as well because again, something could happen. Like your subtitle comes on screen, you look down, then something goes past. Like even if it's a horror game, something could go past, but you don't see that shock horror because you're looking at the subtitle. It doesn't work. I mean, sometimes you've got to because the game's audio is so badly mixed these days. But man, subtitles take a lot away from the experience.
What I normally do in games, to be fair, is I turn the music down to like say out of 10.
Yeah, I do.
10, I turn it all down to about 3, but I keep the voice at 10. And then turn off the subtitle thing.
I think I do 50 for audio, 75 for SFX, and 100 for voice.
Yeah, and I would agree if the voice acting for the American was bad. I would agree that maybe I would try it in Japanese, but I haven't actually watched a bad acted anime. I think usually the type of people that are high for anime is that there's special anime American actors. and actresses, they're all really, really good at representing emotion. And I think for that reason, I don't think there's anything wrong with watching it.
It might be a cultural thing as well, because we're not Japanese, so we can't really hear the emotion, how they're reflecting it in their voices. We can hear shouting and then maybe crying and stuff, but we can't really hear the emotion as they hear it. So we can't connect to. If it's English, we're English speakers, so we can hear the emotion in the voice.
Yeah.
Because
I can agree.
Anime
with that.
sounds like screaming a lot to me if I listen to it.
There is a lot of it.
And don't forget the what, man, Nanny. That always makes me laugh. I can't help it. I don't say what. It's like Nanny. It's like.
No, I think you're right.
Can't help it.
I think like in terms of when you actually watch dub stuff, I think it's incredibly high pitched, and it's kind of hard to tell if they're excited or if they're in pain. I think it definitely is cultural, and I think that because of that, it is hard to relate to.
I can already see
That's
your
why heretics
I could already see the hate in the comments coming.
As well, just to clarify as well, like
but
we both, me and Steve, I think we all agree, like as adults who are busy with our lives, we do a lot of multitasking, and I do a lot of like, I've got a screen here and I'm watching, like maybe I'm playing something or doing some work or something, and I have anime on the side and I can passively consume it, turn my head for the main parts, and then watch more episodes. Whereas with subtitles of a different language, you can't do anything else. You have to be watching and reading. I think
it's impossible.
In Naruto's a 700 episode season. It's in total. That's like days, tens of days you'd have to spend without being able to do anything else. And that's how I watch TV. I passively consume it.
Yeah, I mean, I've tried doing that with Naruto, but I have tried, like I said to Joel, the reason why I've been a bit behind you is because of that. I've been trying to sit down and watch it to try and absorb it more, because I didn't want to watch it on my phone while grinding out trophies or doing some design work in Photoshop. I thought I want to just try and absorb it, which just has slowed me down, but it helps me connect more, just like the audio.
Well, I like carry around my laptop.
Taking this seriously.
I'll take my laptop. What I'll do is, like I say, usually most mornings I have time to consume something like that while I'm making my breakfast and stuff. So I'll be making something on the pan or something, or making my cup of coffee, but I've also got the anime to the left of me. So I am watching it most of the time. But it's like if I was Japanese, I'd have to be watching it. Whereas I'm frying something on the pan, or I'm cutting some bread, or I'm putting toast on. It's like you do all this stuff, and then you can it's still mostly consuming it, if that makes sense.
Don't get me wrong. I'm a multitasking. I love doing that, just watching stuff in the background.
I'll be honest. I watch it in sub, because every time I watch anime, or most of the time that I do watch anime, is just when I'm about to get in bed. I'll whack the iPad on and I'll just fall asleep to watching whatever anime I'm on.
Yeah.
So I am
I've fallen asleep several times watching Naruto.
Yeah. So I'm fully immersed.
At night, fall asleep.
So that's probably why. But I can understand, like Naruto. There are a few anime that does have like bad American acting, but there's not many. Like the most popular ones are definitely they got really good voice acting, for sure. One on both ends. Favorite power? You guys got any yet? Or favorite abilities, should I say? It's not really powers in Naruto.
That's it. Are we talking about jutsus, or are we just talking about like actual inherited powers like the Sharingan? Because they're different, aren't they, really? Because one's a power, one's an ability. Like you said.
I'd say mix it up. So one of each. Right. If you have, let's say
the tools as well.
If you were born in this world, what would be the ability that you'd want? Like if you could only choose one of each, one ability, one power, or one jutsu.
Right. Well,
what are we classing? Sorry, what are we classing as a power? Can you give an example? Because I'm struggling to differentiate.
A power is like a shadow clone jutsu. That's a power. Right, and then an ability is like something you're born with, like something that would be in your clan or would be inherited from a clan.
Right. I've got some now. Actually, now you said that.
I want to see how badass your ninjas would be.
This is a power. This is a power, right? Not the ability.
We're doing one of each, aren't we?
One of each.
Right.
One of each.
Okay. You got yours, Steve.
Pretty much. On the fence on a few of them.
Okay, the one that I can't really remember what it's called.
Okay.
Is when Kakashi generates electricity with his hands when he's
lightning blade, or the 1,000 birds. Am I right?
That's what I would like to have as my power. Be able to move so fast so I can generate the electrical 1,000 bird, whatever. Okay. That would be my power.
That's a good one. That's a pretty.
I thought that was more of an ability myself. That's why that was my ability.
But Sasuke was taught though.
Yeah,
it was.
So it's a jutsu. So the ability would be like a
Sharingan.
Specific to your
Byakugan.
clan. That would be like an ability. So
like-
the shadow possession. That's an ability.
Well, Sasuke's is fire, isn't it?
That's a jutsu because more than
Oh, is it?
because other people can use that.
Oh, okay. Oh, no, I'm still gonna stay with the electric one.
Yeah. Sorry. What about ability? Out of all the jutsu, the unique ones, which one would you want?
I'm gonna struggle to pronounce it, but I think it's the Byakugan.
Byakugan.
Byakugan. Is that just for the viewers? It's the power like to basically, you can sort of like, you can like generate you can like focus your chakra. I hope this is right, and you can agree or not, Joel. You can generate your chakra, and you can, when you strike enemies, you can like pinpoint and do internal damage to them. And then as well as that, you can also generate like a force field essentially.
You're essentially attacking their chakra, not their body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
You do,
Energy
like,
source.
We do damage to like that actual organs and stuff as well, though, can't you?
Yeah,
By
yeah, 'cause
striking them.
so the Byakugan is
Because the chakra is internally infused with the organs, right? Because all the chakra points
Yeah.
go through the organs. So if you damage the chakra, you damage the organs. If
So-
I'm remembering right.
the Byakugan allows you to see the chakra. So when Neji activates his Byakugan, he can see the chakra flowing inside your body, which is how then he knows where to hit in order to disrupt your chakra.
But he's the only one with the ability to see the points, right? Unlike
No,
Hinata, he's got the ability to see the points.
Hinata can as well. Anyone with a
He can.
Byakugan,
All right, because this
they
isn't
can
revealed so
all
far.
see the
But
chakra.
also,
So far, what was revealed that he could, as far as 67, they said he was the only one who could see the points on the skin, so he could seal the points. That's what it was explained, unless Hinata reveals that ability later.
I'm pretty sure that because the Byakugan is basically
I mean, I thought that as well.
it sees your chakra paths. I'm confused now. You guys
Because the way it was explained, if I remember right, that the reason why Neji was so powerful and the reason why he could beat Hinata and Naruto, because he could seal off their points. Because it was like the trainers and senseis were looking like he can see their points and stuff, and
You might be
that's
right,
why.
actually. You might be right. Pretty deadly.
Hey,
Though.
we've got the advantage. We've watched it more recently.
Yeah.
All right.
I
But as
should.
well,
I
like-
should. I should be watching it. Really, shouldn't I?
It also though as well,
Small
he
details.
generates his force around his body. It's like a force. It's like it's like wind around him, and they say like
Yeah.
it's more impenetrable than Gaara's sand shield.
Yeah.
Which when that happened, that was what sealed the power to me. I was like, that is just badass, man.
Yeah, that would be a pretty deadly combination. To be fair.
Yeah.
What about you, Steve?
Right. Well, my ability would be again the lightning blade.
Okay.
Because once I saw obviously Kakashi use it, and then obviously Sasuke in I think it was the last episode, right? We watched
Yeah.
7. That is literally, it's just a badass ability, turning your arm into a blade of lightning. It's just awesomeness. You can't beat it.
Yeah.
But again, that with the Sharingan, those are my favorite. Just because I like the appearance of the Sharingan, plus the ability, the versatility to copy practically, like you said, tons of other jutsu.
Yeah.
Just because it's the versatility that I'm having in mind there. The Byakugan's cool, but I was like, I like the versatility of that.
But don't they say at one point that the Byakugan's more powerful than the Sharingan? They do say that at one point. I'm sure Kakashi says that the Byakugan's more powerful, or it's more all-seeing.
Maybe
It sees more than the Sharingan.
At Sasuke's level, yeah, for sure. But once the Sharingan reaches its peak, it's pretty OP.
Because don't you like? Because at one point Sasuke does a move that Rock Lee's done just by watching it. So it's the idea that you pretty much, when you're at a high enough level, you just need to see someone do something once and you can learn it and replicate it.
You can replicate it, yeah.
That's pretty
Although,
badass, to be
although
fair.
they did have to mention as well that when he was away for a month training with Kakashi, what he did actually, he copied the move with his Sharingan, but he still had to train to perfect it. So he couldn't just clone it instantly. I don't know if Kakashi's level, if he can clone it perfectly after one go, but at least for Sasuke,
He's on a different level though, because
so he can
Kakashi
just one time.
Kakashi's had the Sharingan for years, so he's trained with it, and not just that. Kakashi is highly intelligent. Like it's not really revealed yet, but he's like one of the most intelligent characters. So he adapts a lot faster. But yeah, I mean Sharingan and I think any ability really with the Chidori or with the Lightning Blade is just OP in general. I mean,
It is.
come on, it costs.
We have to
anything.
shout out though. We do have to shout out the sexy jutsu, specifically the haram jutsu. What he used on the head trainer.
Yeah.
That right there was my favorite. You could say lol jutsu. non-serious juke. So I'd still like to learn that if I had the ability to just do that.
That's fair.
The ultimate troll ability.
That's fair.
He caught the third Kage with it. He caught the trainer with it.
Yeah, he did.
Third Kage is supposed to be powerful.
It's just everybody's just a perv, really.
Yeah, you got the arterial blood sprays and everything, so that won me over.
So at this point, would you guys recommend Naruto?
Hell yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah. Good.
I think it's time commitment, but I think you don't have to watch. You don't have to watch all of it. Like you have to watch a little bit to know that it's got so much potential.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely like I know I was starting off the podcast saying like at times I feel like it's a kid show, but also I don't think it is. Steve probably hit the nail on the head when he said that it's probably like a teen show, but I think it delivers so much more that there's something in it for people who are more mature, because I think it's got some really mature themes which if you're younger you're going to overlook, but it's there. It's in deep, and it's some in-depth characters, like, as we've already spoke about, for almost an hour at this point. So there's some really truly deep characters in this with great stories.
Agree. It's one of those that I'd always recommend to anyone now if they want to watch it, because it's literally. I didn't come into this thinking I was going to like it this much. I thought, nothing can get past Dragon Ball for me, and I was like, that's going to be up there. This will be somewhere down here, maybe below Afro Samurai or something like that, as far as like badassery. But it literally is. I don't even know what I can say now. Nostalgia factor plays a big part. I want to say it's above Dragon Ball for me now, the original Dragon Ball, or maybe on par with it, because nostalgia. They're fighting right now, and I've not seen all of this, so who knows?
Yeah, I think it's something new as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it's hard. I'm not sure, because I feel like I just haven't watched Dragon Ball Z in a long time. Like, we're probably talking like, I want to say maybe 8 years since I watched up to the Cell Saga, then I stopped watching it. And I think, for me right now, Naruto, I prefer Naruto. I think it has better themes, it has better stories, but then I feel like it's a bit unfair to say I prefer Dragon Ball Z, because I just haven't give Dragon Ball Z its time. But Dragon Ball Z, to me, I personally have watched 67 episodes, and I think there's only been maybe 5 or 6 filler episodes, whereas Dragon Ball Z, even Dragon Ball Z Kai, is just full of the brim of like extending stories, like, without like how long is Dragon Ball Z? 400 episodes in total, and you could probably cut 150 of them out.
Brace yourselves.
I know. Well, that's the thing. Maybe later on.
Naruto, I think, is a lot worse than Dragon Ball.
Well, there you go. Well, maybe that's why we haven't finished Naruto.
Yeah, I think so.
Rewatch Dragon Ball Z to give a full comparison.
Z, I would definitely put Naruto above Z, because, like I said, Z is just filler, action, building up power, rinse and repeat, resurrections, power levels rise until the universe is the stronger than to blow the universe out.
It's
the reason, it's over the top, which is fine if you want pure action, but Naruto is above that. It's I'm just arguing to combine it with the original Dragon Ball, which is more story focused for me. Even though that was. Actually, no, they did have a lot of adult themes in it, to be honest. Let's be honest.
Dragon Ball Z is definitely just like, we have a really powerful character. He's coming to destroy you. You aren't strong enough. There's only one thing you can do. Wait for Goku. Goku appear. Goku gets you as everybody's dead. Everyone's dead. Goku wins, wishes them back. Saga over. There's 5 sagas like this. Actually, there's more than that. There's like this, there's actually more than that, because like the Ginyu's class as a saga, isn't it? So it's like the Frieza saga, there's Ginyu saga, there's lots of sagas, and even if you look at the Ginyu saga, which is like a sub-saga, it's the same. They're just fighting. Captain Ginyu turns up, beats everybody, then Goku turns up, beats him, then he's injured, then he recovers, then they just repeat it for Frieza.
It's very repetitive.
But like you said, it's also a time thing, because we would have watched it a long time ago. I ain't seen actual proper Z episodes for like tons. I've seen Dragon Ball recently, because I'm rewatching it alongside Naruto. Yeah, that's the only reason. But Dragon Ball Z, depends on your mindset. When you, like you said, you're mature now, so you like Naruto because of its themes. Well, Dragon Ball you watched when you were younger, and therefore more into the action.
Yeah, that's so true. I mean, I feel like I've just bought Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, and my intention is to play that probably in the next couple of months, because that'll be like my real refresher on all of Dragon Ball Z. Because Dragon Ball Z is still, it's one of my favorite anime. So I don't want people to think that me and Steve are bashing it. We don't like Dragon Ball Z, or any of us. We do love it. We're a bit conflicted now after seeing maybe a more mature TV show, which came out at the same time that me and Steve didn't really get a chance to experience, and I feel like I should have.
I think it's because with Naruto, it gives you characters different backgrounds. I mean, essentially in Dragon Ball, there's only 2 character backgrounds you need to know about, which is Goku's and Vegeta's. Vegeta, his planet got destroyed. He was the Prince of all Saiyans. He's got his pride. He wants to be stronger than Goku because Goku essentially is a third-class warrior. Goku would have been exactly like Vegeta if he hadn't have banged his head when he was a baby. But now he's got, the human purity in his heart, and so they're always against each other. But essentially, the story is they're always competing against each other about who's stronger. Whilst Naruto, you've got different characters that are relevant to the anime.
Yeah.
Because essentially, the only other character that was relevant in Dragon Ball was Gohan, and they butchered him in the Buu saga.
I would probably go as far as say I don't even think Vegeta's that relevant, to be honest. I think all you need to know about, I know you love him, but he doesn't do anything for the stories. If not, his arrogance just costs some lives all the time. Especially in like the Buu saga and stuff.
Toriyama hates Vegeta. That's all I'm gonna say. Every justice Vegeta deserves, especially in Super. You guys haven't watched Super, so I won't spoil it.
At some point.
But there is a scene in Super that they could have let Vegeta have his moment, and they didn't. They created this whole other shock factor for no reason whatsoever. It had no impact on the end result, because the end result was exactly the same. They just, instead of letting Vegeta have his moment, no, they did the same thing. Goku comes in, saves the day. So that's one of the things.
Gods aren't there? Oh,
yeah.
So that's what you're saying. You're basically saying Vegeta was about to win. Goku rocks up, turns Ultra Instinct, wins.
Not in those terms, but more or less. Vegeta could have had redemption, and he could have had what he deserved for all he's been through. And the thing is, I can understand if they're doing something to improve the plot, or because the end result would have been different. But whether Vegeta would have had his moment or not, which he didn't, the end result would have been the same. That's what annoyed me.
The lack of development from the writers, though, because they spent all these years telling the same story to kids over and over again. Then brought it back. Was it 2015 they brought it back to the audience of people who are older, who want maybe a more mature thing. Maybe they want some more depth, and rather than have Vegeta, maybe Vegeta surpass Goku. Like how interesting would that be? They just go, nah. Goku's going to be the most powerful again, and we rinse and repeat. And that's
playing off nostalgia.
Never gonna.
That's what they're trying to do.
I don't think
nostalgia.
I don't think Vegeta will ever surpass Goku, and that's.
I think we can all say
unfair.
Nostalgia is never a good way to make TV shows or films.
No.
It is the worst thing to do. Not
You've got to love nostalgia. Nostalgia is beautiful. The rose tinted glasses
as well.
It's blinding. Definitely, we can go back and play all the games, and we love them. But a new it happened on the Discord actually with Final Fantasy VII. I recommended on, I think yours, PlatinumBro, that I said you should play Final Fantasy VII before you do the remake. Please, just do it. And again, people brought up good points that for a new gamer, PS1 graphics and that gameplay, it might turn them off the series entirely.
Yeah,
that is the power of nostalgia. While we can play it and be fine with it.
I like to always refer to them as the member berries from South Park.
Yes.
Remember.
Alrighty, let's wrap this up. I think we've probably touched on all the topics that we really could on the point that you guys are, and I think I'm excited that you guys are enjoying it. I'm excited for you guys to see how the story progresses, because it does get so much better from this point forward, and Shippuden is even better, even with all the fillers. Just the canon alone is. It's just so worth it. I can't wait to discuss it with you guys when you do get to certain points.
I've been dying to watch it since we had to stop at 67.
As well. I've had to start something else just to wait. I had to start something else. We don't watch it now. We've done this. 6 episodes tomorrow.
So the next, go on.
We're close to the game. We're close to be able to play the Ninja Storm.
Yeah, you are.
Get in there.
You are. As soon as you finish the first Naruto
137
series,
or 133.
You can
I'm gonna get it.
135
already.
135
downloaded.
Once you reach that, you can play
I bought
the
the box edition with all 3 on it.
Which was
physical.
It was actually a topic that I was going to say, are the games good? Between all of us, are we all going to play the games? I've obviously already played them and platinum them all, but are you guys? I can already see you guys are going to play them.
On the way.
It's got you on the way.
Maybe a group review could come.
Maybe.
Ninja Storm.
Yeah.
Put it this way, as soon as I hit the episode, I'm playing that game. As soon as I can do it, Ninja Storm 1's getting booted up.
Right, so essentially, we've all agreed that, the way this is going to work is we're all going to watch a specific anime. Naruto is going to be one that we're going to revisit as we reach certain points. The next point we're going to reach with Naruto is when Steve and Lewis reach episode 135, which is the end of the canon. fillers, they're fillers. We're not really gonna talk about those until we reach the next phase, which is like more or less a quarter way in Shippuden. Once we reach that, we're gonna revisit Naruto again, more or less touch upon the same topics that we touched on today to see if any opinions have changed or, improved, if any like new things have popped up, new characters that you hate, But essentially the next episode we'll be reviewing or talking about, it's not really a review, is it? It's more like our opinions. Can't really give a review. Yeah, discussion.
It's a sensei and two noobs.
Yeah.
The next episode, I think we're all going to be noobs because none of us have watched this. It's going to be the Blood of Zeus, which is pretty interesting. I never thought I'd see like anime with like Greek mythology mixed together, but I'm pretty hyped. It
sounds like a smashing mix.
It does.
I agree.
Two things, the fusion, man. It's a perfect fusion. I'm saying it ahead of time. It is.
So the next episode is Blood of Zeus. Until then, you guys can leave your recommendations down below if there are any anime that you want to recommend. We will be taking recommendations at some point, but we do have like a specific, schedule that we're going to stick to for now. But get your recommendations down below. Check out these two beautiful human beings' channels as well. All those links are down below. Long hauls is probably going to be me and Steve doing. Lewis has said he's going to do the short hauls, but not the long hauls. I think he's going to change his mind later on.
Yeah, he's going to change his mind.
We may do it in like seasons rather than like a whole chunk of like 500 episodes at once. We'll just like split in the season. I think he'll come to the
that could twist my arm
to the permanent side.
He won't be able to resist.
So thanks for watching, guys. Catch you guys in the next one. But bye for now.
Bye.